Welcome back to the Meeting of Minds podcast. I'm Philippa. So, welcome to today's episode. I think it's going to be quite a short one, but I've got something that's really going on for me at the minute, and I think it's perhaps a good idea that I talk about it. It's not what I was going to be talking about. That it wasn't my intention. But this seems to be happening for me quite a lot at the moment. And I want to talk about what it's like being a mum of teenagers at the same time as going through the menopause. And actually, it's really interesting. I'm not sure whether what I'm experiencing is just being the parent of two teenagers. I've got two boys who are currently 14 and 15. The 15-year-old is nearly 16 in a few weeks. So I don't know whether it's just being the parent of teenagers, whether it has anything to do with going through the menopause, but like a lot of women, I'm 53 and I think I probably am now in the menopause. In a few months I'll know. But it's very easy for me, not just me, to blame the menopause, but also for lots of other people to blame what I'm experiencing on the menopause. And that's starting to really annoy me. Because also I think what is happening is the sort of journey that I've been on the last 5 years. I've changed, and I just can't put up with things that I used to put up with without having something to say about it. And it's quite a tricky combination, putting all those things into the melting pot at the same time. And it's felt important to talk about this for a little while, and I haven't really known what angle to take with it, but today it's really alive in me. So I thought, actually, I'm just going to come and record a podcast, and I'm actually just going to say what comes out, because I haven't planned this. But literally, just bringing this chair, as you can see, I'm in my office, but I've brought this chair, which usually lives in our kitchen, up into my office to sit on and record. And one of my sons helped me, and we got in a right old Barney, bringing it up the stairs and through the door, because it's narrow in one place and wide at the other. And he was at the narrow end and I was at the wider end. And I was really wanted to make sure we didn't get wedged in the stairs. And we knocked painted pictures flying and everything. We didn't get wedged, but it was just really, it was really quite, I was really quite upset about it at the end, because I just said, I just wanted some help. I didn't want to be told that I wasn't giving enough direction, or I wasn't, whatever it was I was doing wrong. And maybe I wasn't giving enough direction. I kind of thought he got it, because he's been helping his dad with all sorts of stuff lately. And that's possibly my, that's on me, that I thought he would know what to do. And he didn't. And all of that is fine. And I'm not saying it's his fault or my fault, or I'm just saying how activated I felt about it. And actually, I was really a little bit upset for a moment. And I think that's really hard with teenagers, because they are our babies, our sweet children are growing into mine are growing into men in their own right, and they have opinions and they are going to feel a certain way, and I kind of get all that. And on the other hand, I'm not used to being in that space with them as more adult like. They're not adults, but as they're growing up, it's constantly changing. And I don't know what to do half the time. It is tricky. it's really tricky. I wasn't prepared for it being this tricky. I had a very different upbringing, and my teenage years were still very much hiding who I really was and just doing as I was told. So, on one hand, I congratulate myself. Sometimes I celebrate that my children don't feel the need to conform like that, and they quite happy to tell me what they think. Might not always want to hear it, but I just felt the need, possibly for myself, and I thought, if I need this, other people might, you lovely listeners might benefit hearing this. And that, it is hard, and all we can do is do our best, and sometimes our best is deemed not good enough by others. But I want you to know that if you're doing your best, that is okay. And yes, it's upsetting sometimes. They can be very direct and not very pleasant sometimes. My oldest is really not very pleasant at the moment sometimes. And I know that is him processing stuff, and that it's him finding his way. And equally, it really hurts because I'm his biggest ally. I'm both of their biggest ally. And yes, it's taken very much for granted, and I kind of want it to be taken for granted because I am there for them. But on the other hand, I would a little bit of appreciation occasionally would be nice. So it's perfectly normal to have all these conflict. On the one hand, feel that they're taking me for granted, and get quite annoyed, upset, peed off about it, whatever. But on the other hand, sort of want them to take it for granted because I want them to know I love them unconditionally. And those two things don't always sit easily together, but they are equally valid. And I need to remind myself of that today, because it's it's been quite the last few days have been full of this, really. And I touched earlier on on the whole menopause thing, and I'm really intrigued that one of my least listened to podcast episodes is the one where I talk about the menopause. And I know that a lot of people who listen to this podcast are women, and a lot are in the age bracket where the menopause will be of interest, and yet not many people have listened, which I find really interesting. And actually, maybe it's because everyone's got all the information they need, and if that's the case, then that is brilliant. And nobody needs to listen to my two pennies worth about the menopause. But I'm not sure everybody has got all the information. I'm not saying I've got all the information. I've done a lot of reading and a lot of trying to work things out. I think it's no surprise that I quit my job, and I went to therapy because of my breakdown all around age 47, where I probably had already been in the perimenopause for 2 or 3 years, and it was really tough. But what I found with my hormones, and it's starting to really annoy me, that it's easy to dismiss what a woman is saying as, oh, it's their hormones, be it PMT, be it their hormone fluctuations because of their menstrual cycle, be it because of the hormone fluctuations because we're in the menopause or the perimenopause. It's just so easy, isn't it, for us ourselves to blame our hormones, for us to blame amongst our friendship groups, the hormones, and for our partners and other people and other men in our life to blame hormones. And I don't know what it's like for you, and I know everybody's experience is different. But my experience is that my hormone fluctuations do not make me say things that I don't mean, and they do not make me behave in a way that is absolutely like I can't understand it. What they actually do is they take away, what my hormone fluctuations do is take away my filter, and they actually allow me to say what is really going on and get cross and say, you know, I'm not happy about this, or I don't like the way that you speak to me like that, or I would like this to happen instead, you know, and, you know, not always this calmly, but they allow more of a real me, more of my real thoughts and feelings to be aired. And I think that's a really good thing, because we do spend a huge amount of time filtering what we say, you know, limiting what we say, keeping a lot of what we think and feel inside, either because we've been conditioned to think that we can't speak our truth, we shouldn't. You know, when we're growing up, a lot of us, you know, me included, it wasn't safe for me to say what I really thought or what I really felt. So for all sorts of reasons, be it the manner in which you know, we were brought up, maybe there was some trauma involved there and a lack of safety. Maybe there is real conditioning, you know, that gets passed from generation to generation. So, you know, I know someone, you know, who very much worries about what other people think. So constantly filters themselves because they are aware of, like, they're really overthinking or thinking a lot about how it's going to sound to other people and filtering it. And you know, and that's conditioning from our family of origin, conditioning from society. And, you know, I'm not blaming anybody, and I'm not wanting anybody to feel bad, but I also want you to know, if you feel a little bit like, oh, just want to say what I really think, then I think we need to know that that is okay to say what we really think. Because what tends to happen, if we don't do that and we suppress it, it just grows and gets bigger and more intense. And either it gets stored in our body, the energy behind that suppression and those feelings that we are suppressing, anger, sadness, you know, grief, frustration, you know, and it's normally those sort of emotions, the perceived bad. And for those of you who are listening, I'm putting bad in speech marks, because there is no such thing as a bad emotion. It's just society tends to label those, some emotions, as bad, so that we kind of don't feel that we can articulate them and, you know, let them out. And instead we store them inside, and that energy gets stored and becomes sort of, I mean, for me it became a bit like a ball of fire in my you know, my middle area, right, in my stomach, and not actually in my stomach, but in that area. And, you know, it can cause all sorts of physical symptoms. You know, there is a great link, you know, real established link between IBS and stress come from all manner of places, but one of which is suppressing our feelings, and not being able to be truly ourselves. You know, pains, joint pains, chronic pain, back pain, neck pain, you know, lots of things that we experience and sort of take as a bit of like everyday life, really, me included. Those ailments that we might pop a pill for. I believe, and I'm not the only one, that there is often a link behind those to the emotions that we're suppressing. And it's just not good for us. It's not good for our mental health. It's not good for our physical health. It's not good for our spiritual health. And yet we carry on doing it. Please, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not wanting anybody to make anybody feel bad about it, because I absolutely have been there and still am there to some extent. I am still working through it. I really am. And also I am experiencing the reactions I get from other people when I do like own my truth about a situation. And I think I don't do it particularly well at the moment, which is why it probably comes across it perhaps comes across not very well to other people. It might come across as a bit bolshy, a bit feisty, a bit angry maybe, and I think that is why I get the reaction that I get from other people. But I've got to learn. I need to learn how to express myself in a way that it meets my needs, my need for expression, my need to no longer suppress, and also works in a way for the person or people at the other end of my expression, because constant conflict, defensiveness, and feel like I'm blaming them is really not going to help my relationship with them. So it is a real learning curve, and I'm laughing, which is good, because talking about this is helping sort of raise my energy around it, raise my vibration around it, because I can see how caught up in it I am in the moment. And just talking about it to you, you who are watching on YouTube, you who are listening, just talking about it just really helps me, and it's helping me process it as I'm talking about it. It's helping me not suppress it. It's kind of letting it out. By talking about it out loud, it's letting it out and letting it have some air and letting it breathe, and sort of letting it go as well. And I can feel that I'm much less activated by it. And I need to go and apologise after this to my chair helper, and I just thought it might be helpful to come on and talk about this, to come here and talk about this today, in case it helps anybody else. And the reason being is that my state of preference is not one of anger, is not one of being activated, triggered. My state of preference these days is one of being open, and being open to receive joy, because that's really where I'm at. I want to be in a place for myself, where if a moment of joy appears in my day, I am ready to receive it and drink it in and take what I can from that moment. Because, like I said last week, to want to live in a constant state of joy is really unrealistic, because joy is like any other emotion that passes through our body in about 90 seconds. And unless we stop it and keep it stuck, they will pass through our body and go. And the ones we tend to keep stuck in our bodies are the emotions that are harder to process. And they're harder to process because we are conditioned to think they are bad emotions. And those are the ones I mentioned before, like anger and sadness and grief. and frustration. And because we perceive those as something that we perhaps shouldn't be doing, or bad, or something to ignore, perhaps, by ignoring them, we're suppressing them as well. And by suppressing them, we are keeping them in our body, and we keep them on a loop. And that's when we become stuck in them. But joy is not one of those. Joy is obviously a more happy and acceptable emotion. And, who wants to be in anger if they can be in joy? I don't know. I wouldn't want to, and I can't imagine most people would prefer to be in anger than joy. But in order to receive joy, you have to be open to it. And, there are little moments of joy on and off during every single day, if only we can be open to receive them. And that's why I needed to talk about this today. And I hope it might help you to hear me talking about it, because I want to be open to receive more joy in my life. And I want that for you too, if that's what you want. And I now feel more able I've been speaking for 21 minutes now, and it doesn't take 21 minutes to work through what I've been working through, but I've done it here in this video because I thought it might help. It certainly helped me, and I hope it helps. You if it's something that you recognise in yourself. So yeah, that's the episode for today. Work through those emotions and be open to receive joy, so that when those moments of joy come your way, you can bask in them for as long as they last. And when they go, there will be another one. You don't have to cling on to it, because there will be another moment somewhere down the line. Okay, that's it for today. You have a great day, and I'll be back again soon with another episode. Okay, take care. Thank you for listening to the Meeting of Minds podcast. You can find this podcast in all the usual places. Please tell your friends. Please subscribe. And if you have a moment, I'd be really grateful if you could rate and review, as it helps other people find us and helps me spread the messages of empowerment and positivity that I'm really passionate about. If you want to find out more about me, you can visit my website, www.safeandsupported.co.uk. Until next time, bye.